boss Yoravuth criminal case descends into chaos with mounting review panels and lines of inquiry. A range of investigations into the handling of the case has now been established with agreements and disagreements over a myriad of issues. However, the simple question that the public wants answered is what is being done about seeking justice for the dead policeman as the number of investigations spiral and the story becomes further embroiled in controversy. Now, a police investigation in Chiang Mai into the unnatural death of one of two key witnesses to the case on the 30th of July last has revealed the theft and destruction of the man's mobile phone by an associate, just hours after he was brought to the hospital where he died. Last week, the Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the National Police Chief, Chakthip Chaijinda, both separately acknowledged the extraordinary damage done to public confidence in the system of the administration of justice in Thailand over the handling of the case of Yoravuth boss Yoravuth, who fled the kingdom in a private jet 2 days before charges were filed against him on the 27th of April 2017, nearly 5 years after he was involved in a hit-and-run accident that left an on-duty police officer dead in Bangkok. There have now been or are mooted over a dozen investigations and inquiries led by police, officials, panels and various government agencies into the case generated by the death, in a hit-and-run incident involving a Ferrari, of the 47-year-old policeman in September 2012. But there has been no trial before a court. Neither has anyone in Thailand answered the key questions except for the conclusive statement by a police spokesman on the 24th of July last that the now 35-year-old man was no longer facing charges and was free to come home to Thailand without fear of arrest. We are told now that this is all changed in the face of public outrage. But has it? The questions now are relatively straightforward. Is Mr. Yoravuth charged with a crime? Where is the suspect in the case? Why has an Interpol notice not been pursued vigorously to have him arrested? A key panel set up by the Royal Thai Police into the case of Red Bull Sai on Yoravuth boss Yoravuth is to finalize a report next week to be sent to National Police Chief General Chakthip Chaijinda. Last week, both the Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the police chief acknowledged openly the damage done by this case to public confidence in the justice system and the reputation of the police force. However, with the mounting number of inquiries, investigations, conflicts and controversies, it is time to ask the key questions. Where is boss? Is he going to be arrested and face justice in Thailand for the death of an on-duty police officer in September 2012? One of a number of investigative panels inquiring into the handling of the botched prosecution of Red Bull Sai on Yoravuth will meet on Tuesday and a report with full details will be sent by Thursday on the case to Thailand's National Police Chief General Chakthip Chaijinda, who will later hold a press conference to clarify the role of the Royal Thai Police in the matter. The police chief has already accepted that the affair has done enormous damage to the reputation of the Royal Thai Police and has promised to take tough action against those found to have contributed to or have been responsible for it. Prime Minister shares his concern over the handling of the case and the damage to public confidence. His comments follow those of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha at an economic conference last week, who went out of his way to let reporters know that he is not okay with the handling of the case and also agreed that it had raised serious questions about impartiality and public confidence in the administration of justice in Thailand. I would like to express my standpoint in the Boss Red Bull case, that I am not okay with many aspects that remain unclear, the PM said outspokenly. Case continues to churn up controversy, conflict and inquiries nearly 8 years after the crash. However, the controversial case continues to churn up controversy and conflicts nearly 8 years after the fatal early morning crash. There are now no fewer than 8 investigations and inquiries into the case, including inquiries by the Office of the Attorney General, the Royal Thai Police review of the handling of the case, a panel set up by the Prime Minister in addition to the ongoing review of the case at the Office of Criminal Litigation in southern Bangkok, a fact-finding inquiry within the Attorney General's office, a criminal investigation at Thongla Police Station, as well as an effective review by the House Committee on Law, Justice and Human Rights. The 7th is an investigation being conducted by Chiang Mai Police into the death of a key witness in the case on the 30th of July in the northern city into what local police have described as an unnatural death. An 8th inquiry may well be a suggested review last week that would task the anti-corruption agency in Thailand to look again at the decision by the prosecutor's office. The commission has already completed an inquiry into alleged wrongdoing by police involved in the case at Thongla Police Station and made its report on the 26th of June last. But there is more. In addition to the inquiries, there have been conflicting statements on a range of issues, including the validity of the arrest warrant concerning Mr. Yoravuth, which, it is reported, Thongla Police Station had requested to have withdrawn. We are told that this was subsequently resisted by officials at the Southern Bangkok Criminal Court. Deputy spokesman for the Immigration Bureau confirmed in Friday that Boss faces arrest on Friday. A deputy spokesman for the Immigration Bureau, Police Colonel Pakapong Sayuban, confirmed that the arrest warrant for the Red Bull Air was still in force and that if the fugitive, who a national police spokesman declared on the 24th of July was free to enter the kingdom without fear of arrest, was detected in Thailand, he would be arrested and held under 14-day quarantine with strict security. The chief of the bureau has instructed immigration officers to keep an eye out for Mr. Yoravuth. If he shows up, he will be detained and quarantined at a state quarantine facility for 14 days under tight security around the clock, Police Colonel Pakapong assured the public. No clarification on why an Interpol red notice was cancelled or removed from its website in 2018. However, there has never been any clarification as to why a red notice for the fugitive has not been reissued by Thai authorities. Nor has it even been explained why a previous red notice against the Red Bull Air disappeared off the International Police Agency's website in March 2018. This needs to be looked at by at least one of the ongoing inquiries. Interpol in 2018 would only say that they could not comment on an individual case for security reasons but said the removal was in line with its policies. The shambolic nature of the investigation and its handlings has already brought calls for another inquiry by the National Anti-Corruption Commission into the decision to drop the last remaining charge against the Red Bull Air, a decision taken by Nate Naksuk, an Assistant Attorney General. However, another such inquiry was announced on Friday from within the office itself, the second since the decision to drop the case was made public. New review ordered into the decision by Assistant Attorney General Nate Naksuk, already cleared in the recent weeks by a fact-finding panel. On Friday, the Department of the Public Prosecutor Commission said it had decided to set up a committee to review the decision by Mr. Nate to drop the charges against Mr. Yoravuth or Boss. This followed a meeting with Thailand's Attorney General, Wongsakulkitipram Wong and Athapul Yesorang, the head of the department. Earlier, a fact-finding panel at the Office of the Attorney General had cleared Mr. Nate and found that his decision was sound. This conclusion was arrived at based on the evidence placed before him in relation to the case, including the speed of the Ferrari driven by the suspect and two new witnesses. Mr. Athapul, however, has pointed out that a previous decision by former Deputy Attorney General, Pongniwat Yathapan Boripan, to drop all petitions for a review filed by Mr. Yoravuth through his legal team in 2016 and to proceed with charges should not have been subsequently overruled. Disagreement from a panel member who upheld Mr. Nate's decision based on the evidence before him. This drew fire from Poramat Intarachumnam, who was a member of the fact-finding panel that supported Mr. Nate's decision. Mr. Poramat is the Director General of the Department of Thonburi Litigation and has argued that the decision to revive any review in the interests of justice where new evidence is available, is justified. New probe may order a disciplinary inquiry. The new inquiry being set up will examine the decision by Mr. Nate to drop the last charge against Mr. Yoravuth and will decide whether it was valid one or if not, whether the official should himself be investigated with a view to disciplinary action. Yet another potential inquiry. The official has already been cleared by a panel who reviewed his decision in recent weeks. Police found guilty of light infractions in the 26th of June report from the National Anti-Corruption Commission on the 26th of June. Yet another investigation by the National Anti-Corruption Commission reported in its final finding that 6 police officers at Thongla Police Stations had committed light infractions of discipline in handling the case. We were later told by a spokesman for the Royal Thai Police that another disciplinary review had taken place against 4 officers still serving on the force and they had been the subject of disciplinary actions ranging from short-term suspensions with one officer being held in detention for a period. Smartphone of a key witness who died prompted a police probe. It was stolen by a friend meanwhile in Chiang Mai, after police retrieved the body of Yoravuth Mardthong, the 40-year-old key witness who died at the end of July in a motorbike accident, following an intervention by the Prime Minister to seize the body, comes further disturbing news. Mr. Yoravuth's smartphone was stolen from the hospital he was taken to on the 30th of July following his death. Police had earlier become suspicious after the man travelling on a second motorbike, Somchetor Ino, initially told them he did not know Mr. Yoravuth but later admitted to meeting him in a pub and befriending him. Aide of former senator charged by police with theft. Now, it is understood that a key aide to a former senator in Chiang Mai, Chachaylert Pongadasorn, who Mr. Yoravuth reportedly had worked for, had stolen the phone at the hospital. The man known as Lan has been charged by police with the theft of the phone. He told them that he removed the SIM card from the device and left it outside Mr. Yoravuth's home. He also admitted to police that he had attempted to throw away and destroy the phone with its data for fear of being linked with the controversy himself as he was running in a local election in Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai police have indicated that they have looked into Mr. Lan's background, financial history and that of his family. They had found nothing of a suspicious nature. However, police are confident that they will retrieve the data from the phone and are reported to be looking for any possible evidence tying Mr. Yoravuth to the Red Bull case. Witness was pivotal in a case that led to charges against boss Yoravuth being dropped. Mr. Yoravuth had been a pivotal witness in the case presented to the Assistant Attorney General Mr. Nate, suggesting the case against Mr. Yoravuth should be dropped. His evidence had been that the police officer, killed in the accident on the 3rd of September 2012, Sergeant Wichian Clan Prasit, had been driving carelessly and dangerously, thus contributing to his own death. He also stated that the speed of the Red Bull Scion in his smoky grey Ferrari was 50 to 60 km per hour from his observation as one of two eyewitnesses to the early morning crash which claimed the policeman's life. The other witness was Air Marshal Jackrit Thanonkulabata. Senior police officer changed his evidence this week when he appeared before the police panel of inquiry. The case file also included the evidence and testimony of two expert witnesses, both senior police officers, that the speed of the car was under the speed limit of 80 km per hour. One of these witnesses was Lieutenant Colonel Thanisit Tinchin of the Office of Police Forensic Science. Ferrari had been driving at 177 km per hour. The police officer told the panel he had become confused by his own calculations of the supercar's speed this week. Appearing before the police panel investigating the case, Lieutenant Colonel Thanisit reverted to his previous testimony that the Ferrari was, in fact, traveling at 177 km per hour. This is in line with a physics expert from Chulalongkorn University whose evidence was not included in the latest prosecution case file but has now come to light. Sathan Wichangwanarakam set two teams to work on the case in 2012 based on CCTV footage and measurements from the area where the crash occurred and came to the conclusion that the supercar was traveling at between 174 and 177 km per hour just seconds before hitting the policeman. Speaking before the panel this week and when asked why in 2016 he had changed his evidence to state that the Ferrari was only traveling at under 77 km per hour, Police Lieutenant Thanisit testified that he had been confused by his own calculations. Key questions and the only way to fix the damage done to public confidence by this case as the inquiries and investigations continue into the case. Among the key questions above all to be answered now is whether or not boss Yoravuth is charged with manslaughter and the death of the police officer. Is he going to be arrested outside Thailand before the statute of limitations in the case expires on the 3rd of September 2027? Is there going to be an Interpol red notice issued for his immediate arrest? Where is he living? It has been reported that he may be living in the United Kingdom. He was photographed with a Porsche supercar with personal number plates in 2015, 3 years after the tragic death of the police officer in Bangkok but also before he fled the kingdom for good in April 2017. It should not be difficult to track him down given his high-profile appearances in recent times at international events. Have police in foreign countries been asked to formally help locate the fugitive who is still reported to be the subject of an arrest warrant? Are extradition proceedings going to be issued? Boss must face justice before a Thai court. Indeed, the only way to resolve this matter so that doubts can be laid to rest will be for Mr. Yoravuth to appear before a Thai court to defend himself in this matter and let justice finally take its course. There is already ample evidence that the Thai justice system, perhaps to its credit, is capable of showing understanding to offenders in such a situation from all backgrounds. This has been demonstrated in cases ranging from wealthy suspects who have made mistakes and caused death by driving under the influence of alcohol to poor people who have caused death as the result of chronic drug addiction problems. The law must be equally careful to preserve the rights of the suspect and ensure that justice is not simply a matter of responding to the public's demand but, nevertheless, it is imperative that it is seen to be done.